Mr. Prescott Butler, please come to the podium. Prescott Butler, please come to the podium.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
You came back for more punishment. Delegates, start taking your seats. Look at Mighty Sprucey there.
Thank you.
You may just want to, that's the guy who gave me that bottle of Olympia. But you have the flow, so you know how to do it.
Olympia Society.
Delegates, start taking your seats.
How you feeling? You're going to do fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good. How you doing, man?
Good.
I'm busy. I know you are. I know you are. Just trying to get a feel, for the people.
Yeah.
You got some strong support, I have to tell you. Yeah, I heard.
Bring it on.
That's all well and good. That's up here. Right. What about you on the floor? Yeah. That's not
The convention is now called to order. Will the delegates take your seats immediately? Trying to get them settled in.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
I don't want.
I appreciate it.
God deserves a better view. Take your seats. I would like to call the convention to order and recognize Mr. Prescott Butler, Robert L. Towns Branch, 327, New Jersey, for the invocation. Thank you. Take your seats.
Yeah, wait till you see a level. Once you start praying, maybe they'll listen. But don't. It'll stay up. I'm getting ready to. Yeah, just there you go.
Good morning. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you today to give the invocation at this, the 64th National Convention. I'd like to thank Louis Atkins for this honor. I say good morning to you, but what I really mean is great morning. Because I believe any time you go to sleep at night and you wake up in the morning, it's a great day. And every day I expect a great day. And the reason why is because I know that even if something goes wrong during the day, there is nothing too hard for my God and me to handle. An invocation is an invitation, inviting God's presence into this house. And just like at the LTS, I would ask our leaders if they could have a non-denominational worship service. Because some people are like me. We treat God like American Express, and we never leave home without him. The Postal Service is standing at the crossroads. But God said if we lean not to our own understanding, if we acknowledge him, that he would direct our paths. And I hear many people are saying that the Postal Service is irrelevant in the 21st century because of digital media. But last night I took a ride and I went to Sunset Cliffs and I looked at the $1 million homes overlooking the Pacific Ocean. But on my way I realized that I had to pass Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. And that tells me that the Postal Service is just as relevant today as it's always been. Because we provide universal service, which means that we provide a level playing field for the rich and for the poor, for the have and for the have-nots. We're a long way from being irrelevant. I like the way David put it in the 23rd Psalm. He said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear evil, for God is with me. We've been talking about Congress and Congress's failure to act. In the near future, our postal leaders and NAPS leaders will sit at the table, and David said that he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and he anoints my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. As our leaders sit at the table in the presence of their enemies, I just ask them to look to the left, for mercy will be sitting there. And if they look to the right, they'll see grace will be sitting there. And all the days of our lives, we will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I look at Congress as another Goliath. When David fought Goliath, he said to Goliath, you come to me with spears and a sword, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. And you know the rest of the story. I like to lift up the name for healing, for Olympia, Fasano from Branch 202 in Long Island. Let us pray. O Lord, hear my prayer and my supplications. You are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You are the author and finisher of our faith. You said, seek you and we will find you. Knock and the door will be open. So we come to your throne of grace where we find help in the time of need. We come realizing that there are some things that only you can do. We believe if you can protect us from the recent earthquakes, then you can protect us from Congress too. I lift up the National Association of Postal Supervisors. I pray for the leaders who guide us along the path. I pray that after the elections are over, we can put our differences aside and come together in unity as one. I pray for the sick. I pray for Kathy Towns, the Mideast Auxiliary President, who was advised by her doctor at the last moment that she should not travel. I lift up Hans Glidian, and I ask for his healing. And if there's any others among us that may be sick, I ask for their healing also. If anyone has lost a friend or a family member, I ask that you would send the comforter. I pray for our men and women in the armed forces stationed here and abroad. I ask that you would keep them safe. I pray for this great country, and I ask for healing for places like Ferguson, Missouri. You said, if my people who are called by my name will turn from the wicked ways and seek my face, if they would humble themselves and pray, that you would heal our land. Forgive us for our sins. We thank you for all blessings. And when it's all said and done, we'll give you the honor, the glory, and all of the praise that you so richly deserve. This pray I pray in the name of your Son. Amen.
As we begin our morning, I would like to recognize all the veterans in our auditorium. Will all the veterans please stand? Because if we are free because of you. Wow, that's overwhelming. Thank you for your service. Well deserved. We'll always keep you in our prayers. Hey, let's take a few seconds. I want to explain something about the new blinking lights microphone system on the convention floor. As you approach a mic to be recognized, you will find that the mic numbers affixed to the stickers may not be on the side that you're seeing. So most people, you can go, remember the odd is for the pros, even is for the cons. So you may want to sort of look out and see what number your mic are, because I don't think the signs are on the other pole right now. When you wish to get the attention of the convention chair, please press and continue pressing the little button on the tall pole. And everything is tall to me, so the real tall pole. That will illuminate the LED lights at the top of the pole, you'll notice. The button is not an on and off switch. When you remove your finger from the button, the light will automatically go out. But it's a way of me getting a signal up here, then you can let it go once you start speaking. It's a new system. We're going to have to tweak it a little bit, but it's something where up here we don't want to overlook anybody. So right now I'd like to recognize Rosemary Harmon. Rosemary.
Good morning, brothers and sisters of NAPS. Good morning. First timers, please stand up. Where are you? Your registration committee sends you greetings to all of you. They thoroughly enjoyed and did a wonderful job of registering all of you with smiles, whistles, plenty of noise, and laughter. Can you all please give them a round of applause? At this time, I'm going to read the numbers. 8, 26, 14. Today is Tuesday. First-timers in attendance, 118. 118. That is awesome. Executive board votes, we have 24. Possible votes, 23. One of the executive board elected to go with his branch. Branches, delegates attending, 1,150. Branches represented, 247. Possible branch votes, 2,562. Total possible votes, branches plus executive board, 2,585. Total registered in attendance, NAPS delegates, auxiliary, and guest, 1,289. Now I'd like to introduce my buddy, Roy Madden. He's got a few words of wisdom for you.
Good morning. It's not really wisdom, it's requests. We need to see somebody in our credentials office from the Georgia State Branch 912. Just one representative from them. If you'd come see us, we'll explain to you what we need. And if there's anyone here from the Detroit NDC Branch 545, we need to see somebody from that branch too. Now, for the part that everybody's been asking, banquet tickets. When Rosemary and I get back to the office, we're going to start selling extra banquet tickets. We're only going to sell them until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Did anybody not hear me? 4 o'clock is the deadline for you to come see us for an extra banquet ticket. They're $60 a piece, 60, and it's cash or check. Again, that's cash or check. We don't have any setup to do credit. We'll be happy to take any cash you have or your check. And that's as soon as we get back, we'll start. So if you want to send somebody down, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary and Roy. Right now, is Carol Watson in attendance? Carolyn Watson, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Thank you. I'd like to see you. I'm getting ready to turn it. I'd like to just talk to you for a second. I'm getting ready to turn it over to Brian Wagner for morning announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Had a good day yesterday? Okay, we got a new flavor of the day, though. Nestle's Crunch Bar. Nestle's Crunch. I had the dibs last night. Very good with my grandson. Nestle's Crunch is the flavor of the day. Got a lot of other flavors happening here. The Western Region is having their delegates luncheon today. And the San Diego room. Western Region lunch in San Diego room from noon to 1 p.m. Those who are going to be serving or having lunch needs their pink ticket. Also, I read an announcement about the San Diego tours for Wednesday. I want to read this again. And there's been questions about buying tickets and things like that. I'll have to get some more information, but I'm assuming they're going to show up early tomorrow. If you want tickets, you would buy there. not right here. But I want to read again the San Diego tours for Wednesday. The tour company that was on site Saturday and Sunday to hand out their tickets to those who pre-registered. Okay. If you did not pick up your tickets, don't worry. The tour company will have a list of everyone registered for the tours with them on Wednesday. The tours will depart on Wednesday from the Atlas Foyer of the Town and Country Convention Center. Tour departure times are as follows. Those on the city tour, 11 a.m. The zoo is 10 a.m. Harbor Tour Midway, 10:30 a.m. The La Jolla Scripps Aquarium, 11 a.m. And the Vieja Shopping and Casino Trip at noon. There are still seats available for the tours. I was also briefed that if you're going on this tour, you should be here at least 20 minutes before the tour leaves. Please, not 5 minutes wait time in line, at least 20 minutes, okay? So we got that. We'll be doing some more reminders. I'm going to go over some of today's caucuses, and they will be repeated. So for today's caucuses, it's either at 5 p.m. or after the business session, unless I specifically state otherwise. Eastern Region is in the Pacific Salon 1. Eastern Region, Pacific Salon 1. The New England area will meet at 5 p.m., Pacific Salon 3. New England area, Pacific Salon 3. Wisconsin State will meet in the meeting house, in the Esquire room, and that starts at 5:30 to 8. And the Rocky Mountain area will also meet in the meeting house in the town room, TOWNE, and that starts at 5. And I've got a note here. I'm looking for someone named Linda to call me, but most likely you can't because I have your phone. But I don't know the last name is correct on spelling. So if how many Lindas are out there and you don't have a phone and you want to call me and you can't, come up here and you can use this phone. That's all I have right now, Louis. I'll turn it back over to you.
Delegate Mike 3.
Branch 508. Brian, on the trips, I called this morning to book one on the tours for tomorrow. Ken Krasicki, Branch 508, Michigan. They said they would not be here today, and there's a phone number on the daily newsletter. You have to call her. Debbie is her name, and there's a phone number there. So I had to call this morning. She was not going to be here today.
Now I'm talking tomorrow, Wednesday.
Yes, but they were not going to be here today to sign up. You have to call the phone number on here to reserve a place.
Oh, so they're not going to come here and sign people up?
That's what Debbie told me
I
today.
appreciate the follow-up on that. Thank you very much.
Good. Right now, I'd like to recognize Mr. Ken Bunch from the Constitution Bylaws Committee. Ken, are you in the house? Are you ready? Delegate in Mike 3.
I ask for a moment of personal privilege. I'm Neil Baker, St. Paul, Branch 104, member of the Executive Board. My heart cares for this organization. Many of you know why I do not campaign for one person or the other. I have one vote, that is my vote. But what I am here for is to address, we have a lot of resolutions. We have nothing in our book that governs what goes on these tables. You can call it junk mail or junk advertising for candidates. They have a right to put that on the table. My personal opinion is people do not have a right as individuals to put their complaints and their opinions on the table. It's for the people that campaign. I hope we don't have to have a resolution that people have to go and get permission to what they put on the table. I am appalled that yesterday an individual, not a candidate, put a message on the table that was directed negatively toward a candidate. Not only that, there was a picture on that flyer of two individuals that work for our organization, and I approached both of them. Neither of them gave permission to have their picture put on that material. I'm just throwing that out to the organization. Please keep your personal opinions verbal between your members and who you ever want to talk to. It does not belong on these tables.
Turn it over to me. Good morning, Nabs. Good morning. We are back to respond to the objectors of the resolutions from yesterday. The first resolution that was objected to is resolution number 2, I believe it is. And the committee took the following action after meeting with the objector. I'll read the resolve again. Resolved that Article 3, Membership, Section 2, Active Members, be changed to reflect the following language. B, NAPS is not the representative of personnel employed as PC's installation heads and postal inspectors and other like PC's positions in USPS field facilities or at USPS headquarters. The original position of the committee was to non-concur. After meeting with the objectors, we made the following changes. On line 94 of the resolve, we put a comma after the word heads. We struck the word and. We struck the word like. After making those changes and meeting with the objector, the committee's recommendation is for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation for concurrence as amended. Is there any discussions? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Viewing no one's approaching the mic. All those in favor of the committee recommendation for concurrence as amended, please say aye. Those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Committee recommendation for concurrence as amended is adopted.
The next resolution that was objected to is resolution number 3. I'll read the resolve again. That Article 9, Section 1, Paragraph 2 of the NAPS bylaws be changed to reflect the following language. NAPS is a professional organization of supervisory, managerial, and postmaster personnel who are not subject to collective bargaining agreements under Chapter 12 of Title 39 U.S. Code as opposed to a union. Under this classification, NAPS is not obliged to defend each and every member, regardless of the charges they may face. The integrity of NAPS, both national and local, and the interests of the Postal Service must be considered when receiving a request for DDF advocacy. The committee met with the objectors, and the committee's recommendation stays the same of non-concurrence. And the reason for that is this. If you look at Article 3, Section 2A of NAP's National Constitution, that language is already there. This language is already stated there. There is no need to say it again in our Constitution and bylaws. It's just redundant language. And the committee's feeling is that once it's said, it's said. There's no need to say it again. When you start placing things in your bylaws and Constitution multiple times, then people can get different interpretations of the same language. Once it's said, it's said. No need to keep repeating it.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Is there any non-concurrence? Committee recommendation for non-concurrence. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Mike, is anyone at Mike 4? Yes. Mike 4, Delegate at Mike 4 is recognized.
Julie Jors, Branch 72, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The great Milwaukee Brewers who beat the Padres last night 10-1, yay. And again tonight. But with this one, what we were looking at is making the language consistent by adding our postmasters in the line where it says on line 48, supervisor, manager, and postmaster personnel. We have over 2,900 postmasters, and they have been inclusive in this organization for such a long time, and we want to make sure that they are added in when we change the language to conclude them.
Any further discussion? I don't see anyone at the mics. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Committee recommendation for non-concurrence is adopted. Ayes has it.
Okay. All right.
Delegate at Mike 7.
Branch 548, New Jersey. I don't think we played the Padres yet. I call for the division. The voting was too weak, and a lot of these delegates don't take it serious to have these cards with them. That was too close. I call for a division.
Delegate calls for a division. All those in favor, please stand. All those in favor of the committee recommendation for non-concurrence, please stand. You can be seated now. Thank you. All those opposed, please stand. Again, it's affirmed the committee recommendation for non-concurrence is adopted.
Okay, the next resolution that was objected to was number 4. I'll read the resolve again. That Article 9, Disciplinary Defense Fund, Section 2, of the NAP's bylaws be changed in that Section 2D be added to reflect the following language. To be eligible for representation through the DDF, an active or associate member must meet or adhere to one or more of the following criteria. A, the active member must have signed an application for NAP's membership 30 days from the effective date of promotion from the craft, or B, the active member must have been a NAPS member no fewer than 90 days prior to the charge being issued, and C, and any additional criteria outlined in the Disciplinary Defense Fund, procedures and guidelines for branch presidents in the officers' training manual. D, associate members are entitled to representation through the DDF. The committee's original recommendation was for non-concurrence. After meeting with the objectors, the committee maintains its recommendation of non-concurrence for a couple of reasons. One is that NAPS already represents all of its members. It clearly states that. So therefore, that's kind of redundant language also as it relates to associate members. And the only time that an associate member would perhaps need representation is for something along the lines of debt collection. That's the only reason that we've ever had, to my knowledge, an associate member to need representation. And to my knowledge, the executive board, who's in charge of administering the DDF, has never declined an associate member from that representation. So we didn't see the need to put language in the Constitution that does not effectively do anything. The committee's recommendation is for non-concurrence.
The committee has acknowledged changing its recommendation to concurrence. Non-concurrence. Mike 5. Mike 4.
Hello again, Julie Jors, Branch 72, Milwaukee. I believe we should add this in to include associate members. We have had a number of occurrences where the post office has gone after one of our associate members months, years after they've left the post office because they're so slow in deciding when to do that determination of debt. And here our employee is now looking and seeking help for that debt collection. This right now leaves it up to whim, are they going to be represented? We want to add this to make sure that they are able to go to the DDF fund if we need to go that way. I would represent anyone, even if they're associate member and it's years later, but this just gives us the guarantee that when we send it up, we're not going to have someone say to us, well, it's been 2 years, we're not going to represent them anymore, even though they're associate member, because it's not included in here. So we're looking at just adding that D so our associate members who have a debt collection, which can be severe, that they are definitely represented. Thank you.
Mike number 4. Delegate at Mike number 4.
Bob Radford, Branch 203, Texas, Waco. I stand to say this should be concurred with because the executive board changes and maybe money gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and they might not want to represent associate. But if we put them in there, they're guaranteed to get representation. Thank you.
Mike number 7, or Mike 8. Mike 8.
My name is Rick Hunter. I represent Branch 300 from Wyoming, and I am an associate member. I stand to support the committee's recommendation for non-concurrence, and the main reason I do is because of Section C in the resolves. It's important first to keep the Constitution and bylaws as compact and simple as possible for clarity. This wording in Section C ties in the officer's training manual to now be part of the Constitution. It's adding a whole bunch of extra verbiage that's not going to be easy to access, and I don't like the way that this is written to bring this desire into our Constitution. Thank you.
Mike number 7.
Good morning, fellow delegates. I am Keith Burrows, Branch 86, Dallas, Texas, voice of reasoning. Point of clarification. Is it our understanding that if this resolution is not adopted, the associate members will still be represented?
As of right now, Keith, they will be. If they were actively involved in the event prior to retiring, we do represent them.
So then this resolution is redundant.
That was the position of the committee.
Thank you.
Mike number 2.
Ray Elliott, Branch 289. I would like the committee to go back and put in line 25 of the resolution. Associate members are entitled to be represented by the DDF. Even though it's not in the Constitution, it should be in the Constitution. As was said before by Mr. Bradford, it's left up to the board. Now, if the board changes and the board says, well, we're not going to do it, it's no longer going to be there. So I would like it in writing in the Constitution, associate members are entitled to be represented through the DDF. Thank you.
Delegate Mike number 7.
John Farrell, Branch 53, Newark, New Jersey. Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that all DDF representations have to be approved by the Executive Board. Is that correct?
They are not approved all by the Executive Board.
Okay. And it's also my understanding that if you were not an associate member and the Postal Service came after you for debt collection after you retired, that you would still be considered for DDF representation?
If the infraction at the moment that was incurred before you retired and you were an active member, we would then still defend you.
Right. Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Mike number 6. Delegate Mike number 6.
Ron Cole, Branch 183. We're out of order because all we've heard is pro. We haven't heard any cons at this point. So I'd like to call for the question.
The question has been called for. All those in favor of calling for the question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. The question has been called for. The committee recommendation is for non-concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Ayes has it. Committee recommendation for non-concurrence is confirmed and adopted. Mike number 7.
Luther Manuel, Branch 548. I'm trying to stay in my seat, but I can't take it. I call for a division. This is too close for you to, maybe it's from where I'm sitting, but it sounds too close. So I'm calling for a division.
Again, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please stand. Be seated. All those opposed to the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please stand. The committee recommendation of non-concurrence is adopted. Mike number 6.
Good morning, Louis. Antonio Cuevas, formerly of Branch 183, Charlotte, North Carolina, current member of Branch 299, Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg. Yesterday, Mr. Burrows asked for a collection to replace his iPhone. Today, I asked for a collection to buy Luther a hearing aid.
The committee's recommendation is for concurrence. All right. My fault, Luther. I'm sorry. The next resolution that was objected to is resolution number 5. I'll read the resolve again. Resolve that Article 3, Section 3A be changed to reflect the following language. Article 3, Membership, Section 3, Associate Members. A, any individual who was a USPS titled EAS employee at the time of their postal retirement and was an active NAPS member in good standing at any time during their postal career may be an associate member. The committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence. We met with the objectors, and the committee's recommendation remained for non-concurrence. And the reason for that is this. The committee found it a bit challenging to understand how a person who may have been a member of NAPS 1 year, if not less, in their entire career, stay in the Postal Service 30 years, and then decide that they want to join NAPS after they retire. Those of us who are here today, all of you, you pay your dues and you're building this organization. This is what our dues pays for this. It pays to maintain this organization. Those of you who have been members since you became EAS, you have contributed to building the organization. The committee's feeling was to adopt this is like saying, everybody else paid to build the house. I just want to live in it after you build it. The committee's recommendation is for non-concurrence.
Delegate Mike number 4.
Randy Hellickson, Branch 213, Madison, Wisconsin. Now, obviously, some of these branches have members coming out everywhere, but we don't. We're looking at a pool to sustain our branch. We'd be happy to have somebody that's retired support us. Doesn't mean they come to this convention, doesn't mean they do anything except come to a meeting and support your branch to help you maintain your house so you can stay in it. So, I would encourage people here, look at what you're doing here. The last few resolutions have dealt with people that are associate members, retirees. Are you not welcoming us anymore?
Delegate at Mike 5.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Clapp. I'm Branch 666, Portland, Oregon. I disagree with the non-recommendation of the committee. We have a PCs individual who is retired, who has become an associate member, and a very important part of our organization. This would stop that.
Mic number 4.
Dale Kohler, Branch 956, Wisconsin. Under the current Constitution, if a EAS person had a 30-year career and they just joined NAPS for the last year, they would be a member in good standing at the time of retirement and be eligible to be associate member. So what would be the difference if somebody was a member of NAPS at some point during their career and then dropped out and decided to become an associate member? This just allows them to be an associate member.
Mic number 3.
Joseph A. Mash, Branch 83, Capital District, New York. I am currently a postmaster and the branch president. I had a choice when I became a postmaster whether to stay in NAPS. I stayed in NAPS and will continue to stay in NAPS, and I find that anyone who wants to just drop out of NAPS and then all of a sudden later decide they want to be in NAPS or be an associate member later at some whim is offensive.
Delegate at mic number 6.
Antonio Cuevas, Branch 299, formerly Branch 183. I promised to be quiet this week, but I'm breaking my promise on day 2. We have lost control of the pro and the con, Louis. Opposite views. You called the delegate from an odd number mic, a delegate from an even number mic, and they're not speaking against or for the issue. So could you please make sure you keep the protocol in place? Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. I see a light at 4. Is there a light at number 2? Delegate at number 2.
Okay. Carolyn Thompson, Branch 88, San Francisco. I am with the non-concurrence. If they want to be part of NAPS, they can be auxiliary. What's wrong with them joining the auxiliary team? That's part of NAPS. And they can support that way.
Delegate at mic 4, are you pro or con?
Pro.
You're recognized.
Sam Morse, Branch 73. The way the current Constitution reads, that all members are represented by NAPS. If you get out of NAPS because you become a postmaster and you have this sudden revelation that instead of NAPIS or the League or any other organization you want to become a member of NAPS, you have the option of joining NAPS before you retire. I don't understand, and I would believe that what the previous gentleman said about someone wanting to join after they've retired just to support the organization would be minimal. You may affect 10, 20 people. In that case, then you could adopt a resolution that says those 10 or 20 people that a year that may happen to could apply for membership and change the Constitution that way. The bottom line is we're not giving up on associate members. What we're saying is if you want to be a member of this organization, be a member. Don't suddenly get a revelation afterwards that I can get freebies or I can go to state conventions and stay out of town once you retire.
Mic number 3, are you pro or con?
Neither. Bobby Bach, President, Branch 321, former chairperson of the 2010 National Convention in Orlando, Florida. I call for the question.
Question being called for. All those in favor of calling for the question, please say aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Question been called for. Now, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence say nay. Ayes have it. The committee recommendation for non-concurrence is adopted.
Okay, the next resolution that was objected to is resolution number 6, which was a vehicle for resolution number 7 also. The committee's original recommendation was for non-concurrence. I'll read the resolve. Effective with the adoption of this resolution, the NAPS Executive Board no longer will include the immediate past president as an executive board member attending executive board meetings or having executive board voting rights. And be it further resolved that the immediate past president will no longer receive an annual expense allowance. And be it finally resolved that Article 8, Section 1 of the NAPS Constitution be changed to read, Article 8, Executive Board, Section 1, the Executive Board shall consist of the President, Executive Vice President, Secretary Treasurer, 5 National Vice Presidents, and 16 Area Vice Presidents. The committee's original recommendation was for non-concurrence. After meeting with the objectors, the committee's maintained its non-concurrence recommendation. The reason for that is very simple. The vast majority of organizations keep their immediate past president on their board for numerous reasons. One that was expressed in our committee meeting, and mind you, this one resolution was one that was unanimously adopted by the committee. Not all of them were. This one was. Is that any one of us in this hall could stand up and say, we want to be president of this organization. We want to be vice president of this organization. We want to be secretary treasurer of this organization. Any one of us in this hall. This body could elect all 3 new people who would get to NAPS headquarters and couldn't even find the file cabinet. You need your immediate past president on your board. Committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? The committee recommendation is for non-concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. The committee recommendation of non-concurrence is adopted. Mike 7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I am Keith Burrows, Branch 86, Dallas, Texas. Point of clarification to the distinguished parliamentarian. I take full responsibility for probably not understanding clearly. Nevertheless, yesterday, the question was asked with respect to when a resolution is vehicled by and or to another. And what happens if you would like for your resolution to be handled independently. And yesterday it was clear to me, but today I still have some concern. Will you please tell me or the body when is it used that one resolution is vehicle to and or by. Does that mean that number 7 is vehicle to number 8, or number 8 is vehicle by number 7? I said 7 and
7.
I'm just using those numbers. This is for the parliamentarian. Please.
It was addressed to you. No, we'll let you.
No disrespect intended to the committee members.
All right, the chair will refer that question to the parliamentarian.
My apology.
No, that's all right. I speak at the discretion of the chair, you understand. Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate the opportunity to clarify. Oftentimes when resolutions are submitted to a committee, as these are for the bylaws committee, they will get duplicate questions, or in their wisdom or expertise, they believe that the two questions are the same or essentially the same, in which case they might, for the matter of efficiency and effectiveness, combine those two resolutions together. If the membership desires to have those two resolutions, or in this case, two questions separated, then they can make a motion to divide the two questions or to separate the two questions, whichever language you prefer. So if in your mind you do not think they are similar or similar enough to combine, then you can stand up and ask for a division of the question. And if that is seconded, the chair will ask for a vote on that question of should we divide the questions, and with a simple majority vote of the membership, then they will be considered separately.
The next part was, when are the words to and by used?
I'm not sure I understand what your question is.
If number 7 is vehicle
I see.
by number 8,
Yes.
or to number 8,
Yes.
I am not clear if I understand myself. When are those words used, to and or by?
Yeah, that's the decision of the committee that is analyzing the questions. So in this case, we're looking at number 6 and number 7, and the committee will decide which one will take precedent and which one will be considered.
Very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Microphone number 5.
Thank you. My name's Joe Musoff. I'm from Branch 72, Milwaukee, and I have a question, please. Last convention, a resolution was passed that instructed the executive board to come back to this meeting with a recommendation for changes to the executive board structure. Can we expect a report on that committee?
Mr. Musoff, there will be a report from that committee during this convention.
Thank you.
Back to Ken. Mic number 7.
Luther Manuel, Branch 548, New Jersey. Just to go back to the vehicle thing. I just wanted to say this. The parliamentarian explained it the way it is. But you have to understand this. Sometimes there are 5, 6, 7, and we think we've had as many as 8 resolutions that are basically the same thing, just different language. That committee has to look at all of them and think of which is the strongest and says the most. When they have the opportunity then to take the other resolutions and take pieces of them and make them part of the vehicle that's going to drive it. So when you look at that, understand their position. The vehicle 4 may include pieces of the other. The vehicle by may lose pieces of the other. So I'm just trying to help a little bit with the process. The committee has a job to do. And if they took every resolution, we would sometimes wouldn't get out here till 9 o'clock. Now, I know we don't care. We will stay here till 9 o'clock, but, you know, they're doing a fine job.
Thank you, the assistant parliamentarian. Mic number 2.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lanita Pitts. I'm a member of the Elizabeth R. Flamone Branch 14 of Chicago, home of the first black president of the United States, Barack Obama. I rise to make a point of personal privilege. Now, this is my first time at the mic, and I'm not used to this new button thingy, and I hope instead of spending money on holding a button in, we'll be off a day. They need to bring someone in here and put some lights in the ceiling, because I cannot see my book. You got 2 lights out of 8 working and some not working at all. Now, we need to have more light in here so us senior folks can see a little better, because I think I'm going to have to bring a flashlight if we continue like this. They'll have a whole day. They can come in here and they can relight the whole building. Now, that's my point of personal privilege. And also, it was brought up by our older gentleman over there, Burroughs, about the signs. Take the buttons out. Put the numbers on both sides like we always do. Put pro and con on both sides like we've always did in the past. That way, you know where you're at. You ain't got to look at the number, and you ain't got to push no button. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lanita. That'll be taken care of. We try to get the signs by from when we come in and start the second session today. Lighting, we can have it done because we have off day tomorrow. So now somebody turn the light off. I'm glad the PMG is not in here. Thank you. Just a comment. And turn it back on. All right. I bring light to the situation. Yay. Good. No, is there anybody at any mics? Okay, Ken, you want to? Oh, Rich.
Okay, the next resolution that was objected to at the first reading, resolution number 9. I will read the resolved. That Article 13, Section 7, Paragraph 1 be changed to reflect the following language. The amount of $14 of the annual per capita of each dues-paying member shall be set aside for a subscription to the postal supervisor. The committee's original recommendation was non-concurrence, and after we met with the objectors, we still held up our non-concurrence, and the reason being, in the whereas, the third whereas, they gave an average for the years 2011, 12, and 13, that the average was $14.64. We had asked the objector if he knew the exact price for 11, 12, and 13, so that the committee looked at if the price was going up from 11, 12, and 13, or if the price was declining. The price might have been $14 or $15 in 11 and dropped in 12 and 13. So after the committee discussed it, we continued with our non-concurrence.
Committee recommendations for non-concurrence. Mic number 5. Pro or con?
Hi, Kevin Matuzak, Branch 489. I was the objector to this, and the reason that I objected to the non-concurrence was that we're spending a lot more money to produce this Postal Supervisor magazine than we have allocated for. Now, sound business practices want us to budget for the actual cost for what we foresee. The information that we have in the whereas, this comes from NAP's headquarters. Now, the information can be verified through the Secretary Treasurer, and the costs, I don't know if the cost for publishing anything is going down. It can only go one direction. We can change little things, like printing black and white, but the cost to produce the decreasing numbers is actually going to increase.
Mic number 2. Delegate Mike 5, are you completed?
Yes.
Thank you. Delegate Mike number 2.
Ray Elliott, Branch 289. We better start looking at cost from our national headquarters. We are not gaining members. We're losing members. Back when I was national treasurer, we had over 40,000 members. What do you have today? Costs are going up, folks. Your postage rate has gone up. Your salary has gone up, maybe a little bit, but it's gone up. Nothing is going down. Nothing. So let's take a look at our cost of everything. Be realistic. Let's look at this. Let's give our treasurer something to work with instead of borrowing from the general fund. Thank you.
Seeing no one else at the mic, the committee recommendation for non-concurrent. Mic number 7.
John Farrell, Branch 53, Newark, New Jersey. I have a question that would be directed to the Secretary Treasurer.
Yes,
Brian,
John.
Do you agree with this figure of $14? Do you think that that's necessary for us to budget that amount for the Postal Supervisor?
Yes, I do. May I speak? What I want to let you know is that we do a detailed analysis of what we spend by line item. Now, yes, we've had fewer members and fewer, we're printing fewer postal supervisors. But that's the variable cost. We still have fixed costs on how big of a magazine we do. And I've been analyzing this over the past 2011. And it's an ebb and flow. You'll see a nice LTS magazine and a nice national convention, magazine, and they're great. We are trying to cut expenses, and if you notice, your postal supervisor's been about 24 pages. We just don't want quantity, we want quality inside that. But we do have a new editor, and some things have changed there, and we have a new contract. So we're looking at saving. But I can tell you that the current set-aside is not covering it. But I will also tell you, this does not increase your per capita. All this does is allow the Secretary-Treasurer to put together a budget that's reflective on what we're spending. So when our executive board sits and we go over the budget, and then in October, when we see what we spent, actual compared to budget, and you see it at the post office, and I'm asked, where did the money, why are we spending more? Here's where we're spending it. And a lot of it is, you're dealing the production the people who put it together. Yes, the postage goes up and down, and we've done some co-mailing to save, which is as kind of, your postal supervisor comes a few days later, but to save money. This is not to increase dues. This is for really budgeting purposes. So when we do a budget, it is truly reflective on how we are handling the money. You can see what we're doing. We can budget real high and come in and say, oh, we're under budget. But in all realistic, was that a true budget? Ask yourself at the post office, do you get a true budget or do you get the true budget? And all I'm asking, I approve this. I'm sorry I went too long. Thank you. Can I say that up here?
No, you're not supposed to say that, but no. But you do. Mike number 4, delegate at Mike 4.
Sam Morse, Branch 73, New Orleans. Just a yes or no answer. Is the budget that is set aside and the money that is in the Constitution that is constitutionally allocated, is it use it and lose it for the next year? Or if we allocate $130,000 for ABC event and we only use 100, is 30,000 stuck in that budget and another 130,000 added the next year? If it's use it and lose it, then we're fine if we budget $14 for the magazine or $5 for the magazine, because of basically what the secretary said. We want a budget that accurately reflects what is going to be spent, not just a number. Thank you.
What we do is that we do the budget, whatever we spend. If we're under budget, it basically goes back into the general fund. If we overspend, we have to pull from the general fund to come up the shortfall. And that general fund is normally our investment funds. So that's what it is. There's not a use it or lose it. Whatever we spend, we pay. Hopefully we budget correctly in order to make us have a balanced budget.
Mike number 4.
Neil Baker, Branch 104, member of the Executive Board. As Brian said, it's not a use it or lose it. It's just moving money. If the $11 doesn't cover it, Brian has to adjust the budget to get that money from someplace else. Brian's in favor of this amendment. I don't know why the Executive Board didn't come up with an amendment to mirror this. One last comment is, some of you notice there is advertising in the magazine. We of the board have discussed, should there be advertising or not? That advertising helps supplement a little bit of the cost of the magazine. But we do not want to have the magazine full of ads either. We want it substantive and informative to you. Brian's in favor of this amendment, and I would speak in favor of it also. You're not going to hit it on the penny. It's just helping him do his budget.
Mike number 3.
Good morning. This is Junebug Wardell from Detroit Branch 23. Call for the question.
What is your recommendation? Question. All those in favor of calling for the question, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Question been called for. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed to the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, say nay. Nay. That was, hey, Luther, we're going to have a division right here. That was, yeah, I think so. We want to make sure we call it correctly. So all those in favor of the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please stand. All those, point of order, Mike 7.
Branch 548, stand with your delegate card.
Yes. Okay. All those opposed to the committee recommendation of non-concurrence, please stand with your delegate cards. The committee recommendation for non-concurrence has failed.
Okay, the next resolution that was objected to is number 10. I'll read the resolved again. Resolved that Article 3, Section 3B be changed to reflect the following language. B, associate members shall be entitled to all the same benefits granted active members. And be it further resolved that Article 3, Section 3D be changed to reflect the following language. D, associate members who hold office at the national level shall pay the full share and same dues and assessments as active members of their branches. The committee's original was for concurrence. After we met with the objectors, we still concur with it, and the reason the committee continued their concurrence, we looked on the whereas in line 46, and we struck the word regular active member. A regular, it's not described or used as any type of a member in the Constitution. So we struck the word regular on line 46, and the committee still voted for concurrence after we met with the objectors. Corrected concurrence. We didn't, as amended with the dropping that out.
The committee recommendation is still for concurrence as amended. Delegate at mic number 6.
Ron Cole, Branch 183, Charlotte. How can you make a change to the original without giving us on the floor something to read or look at? You guys didn't make a change to the resolution. You made a change to the actual article.
We didn't make a change.
He said he struck out regular. You got to present that to the floor.
Just for clarification, the committee didn't make the change. The resolution itself made the change. The resolution was just written to remove the word regular and replace it with active, because there is no such category in our Constitution and bylaws as a regular member. You're either an active member, an associate member, or you're an honorary member. There is no such title as a regular member. So therefore, the resolution removed the word regular and replaced it with an active member. The resolution, and all the committee did was concurred with the resolution. We didn't strike anything. We didn't change anything.
Okay, but if there's no such...
It was said as amended, and Richard said as amended, so that was my error.
Okay.
It shouldn't have been as amended. It's just the committee recommendations for concurrence, period.
But if the committee is saying or concurring with striking the word regular, regular is used throughout the entire Constitution and bylaws. So you're going to strike it everywhere?
I said it wrong when I looked at my notes that I took from the meeting. The original resolution struck the word regular and just left it as active.
Okay, but if you go to the other articles, it still says regular members. So you're going to take it out of the whole book, or you taking it out of this one resolution?
Somebody can submit a resolution to change all of that. You want me to say?
Go ahead.
That's not the only place it says regular member.
Yeah, and we understand that, but the committee can only address what's in front of it. If, let's just say you would like to go through the Constitution, and everywhere you see the word regular, you wish to put forth a resolution to change that to active, associate, or honorary, please submit that resolution. The committee will review it and make a recommendation to the body.
Mic number 5. Are you in favor of?
Steve Gerber, Branch 139, Salt Lake City, Utah, past member of the Executive Board. As an associate member, I'm a little concerned about the way this resolution is written, because in the past resolution that we were talking about with the DDF fund, we've excluded associate members from access to that process. This resolution right here on line 61 says associate members shall be entitled all the same benefits granted active members. So it's in conflict with the one we just passed, because we don't have all the same benefits as active members because don't have access to the DDF.
Mic number 4, pro or con?
Neither. Anthony DiGregorio, Long Island Branch, home of the Long Island Ducks. I call for the question.
Question's been called for. All those in favor of calling for the question, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Question been called for. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Committee recommendation for concurrence has been approved. Delegate Mike 3.
Sean O'Sullivan, Branch 353. I believe that was out of order. There were no people that rose against that, and I am against that, the committee's recommendation. So that vote was out of order. We had all pro discussion, no cons.
As long as you have one. The last speaker was against it. You have to have at least one on both sides.
He didn't really say he was against it or not.
He did.
Okay.
Thank you, Sean.
Which one are we on? 13. The next resolution that was objected to was resolution number 13. The resolved that Article 13, Section 8, Paragraph 1, delete the section that reads, and the associate members' dues shall include a subscription to the postal supervisor. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence. It was objected to. We met with the objector. The objector withdrew their objection. Yeah. He withdrew the objection.
Discussion on Resolution 13. No one's. Okay, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation for concurrence is adopted.
The next resolution that was objected to was resolution number 14. I will read the resolve again. That the amount set aside to fund a national convention be increased to $4 of the annual per capita of each active and associate member, and be it further resolved that the amount of the annual per capita set aside for the National Convention Fund be set at a minimum of $100,000 per year, and be it further resolved that Article 13, Section 7, Paragraph 2 be changed to reflect the following language. The amount of $4 of the annual per capita of each active and associate member shall be set aside for the National Convention Fund, with the minimum set aside to be $100,000 annually, to be administered by the Executive Board, and be it further resolved that Article 13, Section 8, Paragraph 1 be deleted. The committee made some original changes. First one being, we struck resolve number 1 and 2, which means that we struck all of the language from line 83 through line 97. On line 109, we struck the words with the minimum. On line 111, we struck the word set aside to be $100,000 annually. And the committee's recommendation was for concurrence as amended. The committee met with the objector. The objector withdrew their objection.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence as amended. Any discussion? Yeah, we have delegates going to Mike 10. Delegate Mike 10.
Yes. Trent Clark, Branch 33, Columbus, Ohio, home of the Buckeyes. OH. All right. Okay, my question is just a mathematical question. If you take $4 out of an active member and $4 out of an associate member, that's a whole different situation. So more of the percentage of an active member or more of a percentage of the associate member is going to be used for these things that are in the resolution. It's just it's a question. Shouldn't we be using percentages?
That's right.
Brian Wagner, Secretary Treasurer. This is basically a budgeting issue. What you see are the $4. It doesn't increase your per capita. All it does is, when we're currently doing the set-aside, I take the average number of active members, multiply it by the training funds, and the average number of associate members. Multiply it what we currently have. Now, just as an FYI, you're sitting next to somebody. Unless you saw them stand up, you don't know if they're an associate or an active member. The costs for the same food, the cost for the same books is for an associate and an active. All this is a budgeting aspects in order we can, when we pay the bills, it doesn't make any difference if you're an active or an associate member. It's all going to be paid the same. So that's what we're just doing here. So for budgeting purposes, this would not affect your per capita.
Right, but my question is, don't we have a percentage, don't we, as a local, don't we keep a percentage of each associate's dues? Or do we just keep a regular amount?
The associate dues is $1.75 per pay period, or $45.50 a year on the national. That's what NAPS keeps.
Okay.
Whatever you charge your associate, $100 a year, for that year, NAPS will take $45.50.
I got you. Okay.
Of that $45.50 we take, we're going to just take that $45.50 and we're taking out $4 just to set aside for this training. The active members is $3.50 a pay period, or $91 a year. If you charge your branch $200 for an active member. We only still take the $91. We get that at NAP's headquarters. We just take the $4 out of our share. We do not impact your share.
Okay,
All we're doing is internally taking the per capita we're receiving anyway and just allocating it for budgeting purposes.
Right, but that disturbs the percentages for everything else that you use the money for.
No, we don't base the budget off percentages. When we do a budget, we basically do the budget on if we're required in the Constitution for a certain set aside, or we basically do a budget based on what we feel we're actually going to spend. So it's based off of what we spent last year and what we think we can save and so forth, and budget that way. It's not a percentage. It is a percentage when you want to factor it in, but it doesn't impact the budget on a percentage basis.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mic number 4. Mic number 4.
Delegate at mic number 4.
Neil Baker, Branch 104, member of the Executive Board. Brian did an excellent job of explaining it's a budgetary thing. There's no percentages, but I need to explain that the money that NAPS takes for the associate member basically covers sending them the magazine. So, as he said, whether you buy food for the person next to you, the associate, or for yourself, the cost is the same. The national budget collects the money from the branch basically to cover sending the associate the magazine. I have some difficulty because some branches have interpreted that they collect the full amount of dues from all associate members. That's not true, like you said, Brian. But for the newcomers here, associate dues are established by the branch. Like Lewis said, some branches only charge their associates the cost of the magazine or what the national collects. It's up to the branch if they want to add $20, $50, or they want to charge the full dues. It's up to the individual branch. Correct, Lewis?
Yes. He just clarified.
Okay. Mic number 2. And then 7 again.
Mic number 2.
Mr. President, I just want a point of personal privilege.
Name and branch.
Calvin Stansbury, Branch 14, Elizabeth Vermont, Chicago, Illinois. Mr. President, I stood up here yesterday evening for 20 minutes trying to be recognized. I simply want to give credit where credit is due. On the south side of Chicago, there's a little league team that won the National Little League Championship, and they're from the inner city. I think they should be recognized because all we get in Chicago is bad news.
That's super good news. Thank you for those comments. Mic number 7.
Good morning. My name is Shirley Hunter, Branch 559. As a point of personal privilege and a dues-paying member for the last 23 years, but as a first-timer, and all of my family members who told me, yes, I will give you a pen, I'm reminding you I would like my pen, and anyone else who would like to give me a pen, I am sitting back here. Thank you.
I'll be back there. All right, meet me at the steps right here so I don't forget again. Is that?
No, not yet.
Did we vote on the question? Did we vote on the question?
Mic number 1.
Jennifer Farnquist, Branch 361 from Muskegon, Michigan. I call for the question.
Give her that. I get my hug later. Question been called for. All those in favor of the committee recommendation. Oh, yeah, the question's been called for. All those in favor of calling for the question say aye. All those opposed say no. Question been called for. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. The committee recommendation for concurrence is approved. As amended. It's
Straight concurrence, not as amended.
And we sent these to the resolutions
Okay.
committee. Well,
You got to have 14 now.
Resolution 16 and 17 has been sent over to the resolution committee. So, you want to recognize you finished them.
I believe
14?
Yeah.
14. Did we do 14?
No, you just done 13.
We just did, I thought we did 14. Is that ours? Is that ours? That's not constitutional bylaws, is it?
No, it's the resolution. We don't have a number on it.
No, that's one we just did. We just did 14.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Mic number 4.
Dorothy Gray, Branch 131, St. Louis, Missouri. For the young lady who is the first timer, St. Louis have pens. Come and get it.
Okay.
Come and get it.
Delegate at mic number 5.
John Wong, Branch 497, North Coast, California. Also, Area Vice President, California State Board 905. For all the first-timers out there, and we have a lot of them, I know, I have pins. I'm back here in the back corner of the Pacific area by the doors. Come see me, I'll give you a pin.
Please do that right at lunchtime. Okay. Mic number 7.
Branch 548, New Jersey. The resolution that was handed out at the door, it doesn't have a number. Is it part of the Constitution and bylaw?
They didn't hear your name earlier. They heard your branch number, but your name wasn't clear.
Luther Manuel.
Jay, which one was it?
We were handed a resolution at the door.
That's going to
Mine don't have a number.
Yeah, we should have got a number.
Is this part of the Constitution and bylaw?
No, Jay just told me it's the resolution committee.
It's, oh.
And
Thank you.
What's the number? At present, we think it's going to be resolution number 79, but the resolution committee, chaired by Bernie McCarthy, is going to give you that number. Mic number 4.
Sam Morse, President, Branch 73 in New Orleans. Mr. President, I'm beginning to feel like Luther, but I've got to stand up and say this. I looked in my newly won mini pad in Robert's Rules of Order, and I would ask that the parliamentarian be more active in our daily activities. I understand we want to run this loosely. I understand that we want to be a friendly body and we love everybody, and Luther wants to kiss everybody. But the bottom line is, point of privilege pertains to noise, personal comfort, etc., may only interrupt if necessary. Point of order is for an infraction of the rules. So everyone that's getting up here talking about a point of personal privilege, that they have pins, that's not what this body is about. Please stay loose, I want everybody to be heard and spoken, but at this microphone, if we could at least follow a little bit of Robert's Rules of Order. Thank you, sir.
Duly noted.
Recognize. Okay. With that, I believe we concludes the business of the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. I'd like to recognize the members of my committee. Folks, believe me when I say Constitution and Bylaws is not by any means the easiest committee in this organization to manage. You want to recognize Bernie?
Delegate in mic 3.
Mr. Chairman, Bernie McCarthy, Branch 23, Detroit. I do believe there is another resolution that has to go before the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. It's resolution number 81. I don't think it's been presented to them yet, so I don't know if it would be wise to dismiss them.
Nope, they won't
Thank
be
you.
dismissed if you're transferring it over to the Constitution and Bylaws. Well, we'll wait. No, it's resolution number 81 in your book. So there won't be any need to run copies, but they'll need to go back and meet on it.
No, he's from my branch. Okay. My committee will not be dismissed just yet. We will review that resolution and let you know our findings. Thank you. He said it wasn't relevant. He said it goes to them. Good.
I'm going to take a moment. I need an announcement. The Audit Committee will need to meet at 11:15 at the Royal Palm number 6. The Audit Committee is to meet at 11:15 at the Royal Palm number 6 room. Thank you.
Now we'll deal with Resolution 81 while they're gone, so we'll take care of it. No, give me great pleasure. Our next special guest began his postal career as a clerk in eastern Montana. Wow. That's way back in 1973. Mark, that's the same year I graduated from high school. What are you talking about? No, not quite. I'm a little bit older. In 1981, he was promoted to the supervisor of mail in Missoula, Montana, and 2 years later, he was selected as tour superintendent in Billings. In 1989, he moved to Arizona, and after working there in various postal management positions, he was appointed postmaster of Sun City, Arizona in 1992. Our guest became national vice president of his postmaster organization in 2005 and was elected executive vice president in 2006, and again in 2007, and again in 2008. In July 2010, he was chosen for the top leadership post of one of our two sister Postmaster Management Associations. Please help me welcome and give Mark Strone and Kelly. Is Kelly with you? Kelly with you? Kelly's with you? Where's Kelly? Oh, okay. Because they have you supposed to bring Kelly. No. Please join me in welcoming along with his wife, Kelly, is what's written here, the National President of the National League of Postmasters, Mr. Mark Strong.
I need to make a quick announcement on the Resolutions Committee, all right? Okay. This is not Kelly, but this is Rich.
With the bylaws in that we're going to meet right now in Palm Salon 3. Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Mark Strong.
Thank you, Louis. I know you all want to break from them resolutions anyway. Good morning. Hope you all are enjoying beautiful San Diego. Hope you're all having a good time, because God knows after the year we've had, you deserve that. I want to lightly touch on where we're at in terms of the post office and where we're going to end the year. Talk a little bit about NPA, and I know you've had some other people talk to you about that already. Jeff probably touched on it. Tony touched on it. But I want to give you my 2 cents, because that's probably be about what it's worth when this year is done. Bruce, I don't know if he's going to talk about legislation, but I do want to touch a little bit on legislation as well. Keep you up to date on what's going on in D.C., because unless someone wakes up there, we're going to get more of the same, and it's not going to be good. So what's going on in legislation? Right now, I can't even take it seriously. Can you imagine if you did your job in the manner that Congress is? I mean, can you really imagine that? One of the staffers that I spoke to on the Hill said the sole purpose of our representatives was to make Congress as dysfunctional as possible. If that is true, then I would have to say there truly is success in Washington, D.C. We've just been looking at it the wrong way. Miserably failing to represent this country with open eyes and an open mind is really success. And it has to be, because otherwise I know that you would not continue to re-elect our representatives year after year if they weren't doing their job. So the game goes on. The GOP is trying to piecemeal parts of legislation, not get it passed, just make a statement. Our political ally, Congressman Darrell Issa, has joined hands with President Obama and showed support for portions of the White House budget, the portion that addresses the change of mode of delivery. Congressman Issa introduced H.R. 4670 that would phase out 31 million residential deliveries to the door, converting 1.5 million deliveries a year to cluster box or across-the-curb delivery. If you wanted home delivery, you paid for it. The $3.4 billion that they would save is well documented. But that was not the point of the bill. It was making a statement that the GOP supports the White House while the Democrats do not. That bill passed out of committee across partisan lines. So the Democrats did not vote on it at all. And that bill has seen no further action. And the only thing crazier than that is the next little move they made, and to bring back the post office cash cow. You would think with the overpayments to FERS and civil service that they'd gotten enough out of us. You would think they had squeezed enough out of the Postal Service. The $5.5 billion a year that we have paid in, still required to pay, but haven't made a payment for 3 years, has accumulated to just under $50 billion. But don't go looking for that money. Well, our representatives have come up with another genius plan, and that was to cut the delivery to 5 days a week and use that savings to pay for an insolvent federal road building initiative. You just can't make that stuff up. This initiative is normally paid for with tax funds, but they were going to use the 5-day delivery. But that too played out. Congressman Cantor, Virginia, who never says yes to anything, started this idea and lost the primary election. No one else has had the fortitude to champion that idea. Imagine that. But it did not really matter, because a few weeks later, the House passed the annual appropriations bill, which amended the language for 6-day delivery for another year. And it passed on a bipartisan way. They can't even get their parties on the same page. Now, good news for some, over 50 senators are floating a letter to get another amendment on the Senate appropriations bill that will stop the closure of the 82 plants for 1 year. Absolutely. So, it's an election year, and my guess is, along with a lot of other people, that nothing will happen for the next 3 months. There is always the danger of a bill passing during the lame duck session. And we know what happened in 2006, the last time they passed a bill during the lame duck session. What a mess. And without legislation, we are in the same boat tomorrow that we are in today. So let's talk a little bit about the post office. All three organizations have worked through some very tough times and will continue to see many challenges, especially in legislation. You can't possibly meet the many challenges we face alone, and the three organizations work very closely together to get the best outcome possible. One of these presidents that I do spend more time with than the other is the new president, and he's with us today, Tony Leonardi. Tony and I have worked together for about 8 months, and he's proven to be a friend and an ally while dealing with the many challenges we face. Tony's wife, Karen, is with him. Tony and Karen have been married for just over a month, so they're still kind of on their honeymoon. For 4 years, I have partnered with the NAPS officers, Brian, Jay, and Lewis, on many tough issues. It has been one heck of a ride, but a pleasure to work with this entire group. It has been an honor to work with my fellow president, Lewis. He has been a phone call away when we needed to make sure all three organizations were on the same page. I will be moving on to another chapter in this book, and will miss working with the three organizations. But the post office keeps moving along, and having a fairly good year, with the exception of NPA. Tony spoke a little bit about this yesterday, but I want to talk a little bit about the numbers. Through the third quarter, our controllable income, taking out retirement, the pre-retirement payment of $5.5 billion, the workers' comp cost, we were actually $1 billion to the good. So we're making work hours. Let's just say we're making work hours. If we put those costs back in, we're losing about $3.5 billion. So the argument goes on and on and on about the fabricated crisis or not. But here's the bottom line. For those costs you control, for that revenue that you're accountable for the things that you are doing an excellent job. So thank you for all you are doing, for your part to keep the post office a viable part of the future. Many areas of the post office are doing quite well. Service continues to improve after a very slow start and a very hard winter. However, NPA continues to show little life. Some would say if a company is in a financial dire straits, we shouldn't expect to see raises. But after 3 years of giving all we can, seeing some return on those efforts is not out of line and needs to be addressed. Looking at the June report card, 19 of 67 districts in this country, that's only 28%, have a corporate score of 3.5 or higher is what it needs to be to get a minimal raise. There is not one area or headquarters person in this country that is making 3.5 on the corporate score. Here's even a worse example. And this is surely the way we don't want unit indicators to be. And it's about postmasters. For postmasters in the level 18 through 20, which is over 75% of the postmasters across this country now after post-plan. And Tony talked a little bit about post-plan yesterday. 18 to 20 postmasters, 75% of all postmasters, 46% are sitting in cell 0. And remember, we're making $1 billion. 38%, and this is almost worse, 38% are sitting in cell 15. So 84% of the postmasters are either 0 or cell 15. Now, how can them numbers be right? For the 21 to 26 postmasters, 76% of you are not making your total work hours and are at cell 0. Something is not right. Is it because of effort? We know that's not true. Is it because the goals are out of line from reality, or unforeseen circumstances outside of our control that make these goals unachievable? Regardless of what it is, we need to find the answers to our pay process, because like our work environment, the long-term effects are starting to wear on our postmasters, managers, and supervisors, and we need to fix the process or go back to the old school of a flat rate or a flat raise increase. Later today, the Postmaster General will speak about where we are headed, challenges we face, and of course, legislation, as well as future revenue-generating ideas to keep us in touch with tomorrow's technology. On Thursday, Megan will talk a lot about current operational concerns, challenges, success stories that you'll hear plenty of, so you'll hear plenty of where the post office is going. But I think it's important to leave you with good news. And we do have a lot going for us. Standard mail is seeing an increase for the first time in a few years. Package products continue to grow at a rate of over 7% a year. The decline in first-class volume continues, but it has flatlined, and we have it completely within the control of what we have planned. Service scores are up, and we are looking at breaking into new areas of revenue generation. We are delivering groceries in San Francisco. We do have a bright future. The organizations with headquarters we just need to get our arms around those issues that are impacting our work environment, work together on getting them fixed, and move on. So we continue to address the needs of our supervisors, managers, postmasters. We continue to work together to make a better place for all of us to finish our careers, to make sure that those behind us have the same opportunities that were given to us. And this can't be done alone. And I know the three management organizations will continue to work hand in hand with the Postal Service to make sure we exist today, tomorrow, and well into the future. Thanks for doing all you can to make it happen. Thanks for inviting me, and enjoy your convention.
Now, at this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Bernie McCarthy, Chairperson of the Resolution Committee, and co-chairs Dr. Nancy Wesley. Mic number 7.
Chairman, Luther Manuel, Branch 548. To address with all due respect to the previous speaker, who was discussing personal privilege. You have, it depends how you see personal privilege. If you go to Robert's Rules of Order, where it mentions personal privilege, the gentleman is correct. It talks about lighting, too much noise, or things of that nature. But it also says something else. It says, and other disturbances. Now, if I'm listening to a person who's telling me they did not get a pen, that's disturbing to me. So, just to keep the convention light now, we have to allow some things to just go, because they're only going to take a couple of minutes or so. And it does bring some humor, and it keeps us all feeling comfortable. But we could debate about personal privilege and then at the end of it, if you look in Robert's Rules of Order, it says, etc. Well, what is etc.? So I think we need to let people be a little light. Come on up. Parliamentarians do a great job. Just come on up, say what you got to say. Take your minute, but don't drag it out. Let's keep some humor in here. Thank you.
Yeah. Just a comment about that. The parliamentarian and I had a discussion early this morning about points of personal privilege, and that's good. But to make sure this convention moves on and address the business at hand, there's times that we can say, wait till the very end or later on for points of privilege and do the business of the organization. So we have had that discussion, and we'll lighten it up, but we got to move on also. Thank you.
My turn?
Your turn, Bernie.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bernie McCarthy, and I'm from Branch 23 in Detroit, Michigan. Excuse me. Your resolutions begin on page number 81 in your booklet. And the first resolution that we're going to deal with is number 30. And just like the format that was used for the Constitution and Bylaws Committee, we're going to start with a reading of the resolves. Resolution number 30. Resolved that the NAP's resident officers, through the consultative process, request a review of the new supervisor program and request classroom training and/or other options to ensure all newly promoted supervisors complete the mandatory supervisor training, and be it further resolved that the Training Development Center, TDC, oversees the new supervisor training and ensures new supervisors complete their training weekly. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendations for concurrence. Are there any objections? Any objections? Any objections? Hearing none. All in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The committee recommendation for concurrence is adopted.
This next one is vehicle by one that's further down the road. So should I go to it? Yeah. Okay, resolution number 31 is going to be vehicled by resolution number 36. So we're going to do number 36. 36 is on page 83, and it reads as follows. Resolved that NAP's headquarters, through the consultative process, requests USPS headquarters to send a letter to the field stating advance approved vacations be honored if the leave was approved in advance of the management changes or EAS changes due to employees being impacted by a RIF/consolidation. As I stated, resolution number 36 chose would be the vehicle for resolution number 31. And the committee amended this resolution, and we amended it as follows. We took the first resolved from resolution number 31, which is on page 81, between lines 86 through 92. And the amended resolution 36 will read as follows. Resolved that any supervisor reassigned to a different installation during the leave year be allowed to maintain all annual leave previously approved to them, and be it further resolved that NAP's headquarters, through the consultative process, requests USPS headquarters to send a letter to the field stating advanced vacations be honored. Period. You want me to read it again? Okay. Resolved that any supervisor reassigned to a different installation during the leave year be allowed to maintain all annual leave previously approved to them, and be it further resolved that NAB's headquarters, through the consultative process, requests USPS headquarters to send a letter to the field stating advanced, and I'm sorry, I apologize, but I didn't mention that we struck the word approved. Advance vacations be honored, period.
No, we didn't strike it, approved.
I got it stricken.
We struck all this.
Yeah, everything else. Got that?
Okay.
I apologize, folks. I've been corrected. Line 89, the word approved is still there. We did not strike it as I had mentioned. You want me to read that resolved again? Okay. It would now read, resolved that any supervisor reassigned to a different installation during the leave year be allowed to maintain all annual leave previously approved to them, and be it further resolved that NAP's headquarters, through the consultative process, requests USPS headquarters to send a letter to the field stating advance approved vacations be honored, period. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendations for concurrence as amended. Delegate Mike 6.
Antonio Cuevas, Branch 299, formerly Branch 183, Charlotte, North Carolina. Line 86 on Resolution 31 that we're using as the vehicle, I make a recommendation that we strike the language supervisor and make that any EAS employee, because we are not just supervisors represented by NAPS.
Antonio, you're just objecting, and you'll...
I'm objecting to that based on the current language.
Thank you. Resolution to be held over for a second reading.
Boy, that didn't take long, did it? Resolution number 32. Resolution number 32 is going to be vehicled by resolution number 33. Resolution number 33 reads as follows. Resolved that NAP's headquarters consults with the USPS to have a policy on vacation planning for EAS employees, even if it is basic, such as a policy that each facility will allow for vacation planning at the beginning of each year. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendations for concurrence. Delegate Mike 1.
Jennifer Farnquist, Branch 361, Muskegon, Michigan. I object.
Resolution held over for a second reading.
Okay, we're at resolution number 34. Resolved that EAS employees may choose up to an additional 3 weeks of carryover annual leave after the first round selection. The committee's recommendation for resolution number 34 was for non-concurrence. The committee felt at the time that resolution number 34 is in conflict with resolution number 33.
The committee recommendations for non-concurrence. Any objections? Any objections? Any objections? Oh, I say that one too many times. Delegate Mike 3.
Roger Gorge, Branch 8, Indianapolis. I object.
Reading. Resolution be held over for a second reading.
Okay, we're at resolution number 35. Resolved that the seniority of a supervisor stays with a supervisor when taking bids or lateral transfers and is not determined by specific office. The committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence, and part of the reason for the non-concurrence was that the committee believes that there is already a policy letter that exists, and we simply think that it should be enforced.
Committee recommendation for non-concurrence. Mike number 1.
Jennifer Farnquist, Branch 361, Muskegon, Michigan. I object.
Resolution be held over for a second reading.
Okay, we've already done resolution 36, so we're on resolution 37. Resolved that NAP's headquarters consults with the Postal Service to give impacted EAS employees retreat rights if a position they vacated due to receiving an impacted employee letter is later reposted. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
Committee recommendation for concurrence. Any objection? Any objections? Any objection? Seeing no one approaching the mic, the committee recommendation for concurrence. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Committee recommendation of concurrence is adopted.
Resolution number 38. Resolved that the Postal Service reimburses the full cash value to the postal employee who controls the unused benefit. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
Committee recommendations for concurrence. Any objection? Any objections? Any objections? Mic number 3. 5. Mic number 5.
Chris Till, Branch 557, Northern Colorado. I object.
Resolution held over for second reading.
Okay, resolution 39. Resolved that the current waiting period for higher level compensation for EAS employees be abolished, and be it further resolved that a new higher level compensation procedure be created that will serve to acknowledge and immediately compensate EAS employees when they are required to perform higher level duties in shift durations. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendations for concurrence. Do I have any objections? If I have any objections, Mike number 9.
Duma, Cy Duma, New England Area Vice President. I do not stand to object, Louis, but on some of the other resolutions that had objectors, I want to bring to the attention of the body, and if I misstate, please correct me. Although there may be one objector, anybody that objects can go to the meeting with the committee. Is that correct?
You're correct, Cy.
Thank you.
I'm on the third objection for the committee recommendation of concurrence. Seeing no one approaching the mic, the committee recommendation for concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the committee recommendation of concurrence is adopted.
I mean, it's too low. It's way down here. I got to hold it up here. Okay, we're on resolution number 40. Resolution number 40 will serve as a vehicle for resolution 41, and it reads as follows. Resolved that NAP's headquarters determines an appropriate course of action to require the USPS and OPM to calculate and or recalculate the retirement annuities of all EAS retirees who will or have had a portion of their consecutive high 3 salaries calculated in years impacted by USPS wage freeze policies, and be it further resolved that the EAS high 3 base salary for retirement annuity calculation be increased by 2% of their Form 50 pay level or detailed pay level in the year they retired, and be it finally resolved that the retirees or their beneficiaries affected by this resolution be paid retroactively with 3% interest once the resolution has been adopted. Calm down, calm down. I know. The committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence. All right, calm down, calm down. The committee felt at the time that an action such as this would require action on the part of the OPM and not that of the U.S. Postal Service. And as one of the committee members in the room noted at the time, they referred to it as pie in the sky.
The committee recommendation is for non-concurrence. Mike number 4.
Fletcher, Austin, Texas, retired. I object.
You do too, and about 1,229 other delegates do. Resolution held over for a second reading.
Okay, everybody calm down now, right? Okay, good. We're on Resolution 42. Resolved that NAPS consults with the Postal Service to evaluate Exhibit 412.1b, position groups eligible for Supervisory Differential Adjustment, or SDA, rate effective January 22, 2005, of the Employee and Labor Relations Manual, ELM, to determine the predominance of the indicated bargaining unit levels and steps supervised by the corresponding EAS position groups, and to make appropriate changes in Exhibit 412.1b as necessary to ensure that EAS salary minimums are adjusted accordingly, and be it further resolved that Exhibit 412.1b be reviewed for compliance during pay consultations. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee's recommendation for concurrence. Do I have any objections? Do I have any objections? Any objection? Delegate Mike 6.
Chairman, my name is Greg Murphy, Branch 102, Springfield. I was a member of the committee, and I believe this serves as a vehicle for two other resolutions.
No, you did not. 54 and 55, yeah, you did not say that.
Sorry, Greg, you're correct. I'm sorry, folks. 54 and 55 are the resolutions that would be vehicled by number 42. I apologize for that. That was my oversight. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Hearing no objection, seeing no one else approach the mic. Mic number 7. Mic 7.
John
Delegate at mic 7.
John Carson, Branch 901, State President. What happened to Resolution 41?
It was vehicled by resolution number 40.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the committee's recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Okay, I assure you I'm going to try to get this one right, okay? We're on resolution number 43, and I better not mess it up. Resolved that the Postal Service compensates all EAS employees who work a 6-day in a service week. It says 6th in the resolution. 6-day in a service week at a rate of 150% of their calculated base hourly rate for all hours worked on a 6th day, and be it further resolved that the Postal Service compensates all EAS employees who work a 7th day in a service week at a rate of 200% of their calculated base hourly rate for all hours worked on a 7th day. Okay, you ready for this? Get ready. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
We'll skip that. All in favor, approved. No. Our committee recommendation is for concurrence. Are there any objection? Are there any objection? Are there any objections? Seeing none. All those in favor of the committee recommendation for concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. We'll keep it light. We need some type of joy. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Okay, resolution number 44 is vehicled by resolution number 46. Resolution number 45 is vehicled by resolution number 46. As are resolutions 52 and 53. So resolution number 46 will serve as the vehicle for 44, 45, 52, and 53. 46 reads as follows. Resolved that NAPS headquarters works with USPS headquarters and or the USPS Office of Inspector General to create a locality pay strategic plan for EAS employees and seek legislative action for implementation. The committee amended resolution number 46, and in doing so, we took the resolved from resolution number 45 between lines 16 and 22 and made that the first resolved for resolution 46. Everybody got that? Okay. So the resolve for resolution 46 would read as follows. I haven't done it yet. got to it yet. 46 would read as follows. Resolved that NAPS consults with the USPS to implement a locality pay schedule for EAS employees based on the model used by other federal agencies, and be it further resolved that NAPS headquarters works with the USPS headquarters, and at that point we struck on line 74 from and or the USPS Office of Inspector General on line 76. That is stricken. And it reads that NAPS headquarters works with USPS headquarters to create a locality pay strategic plan for EAS employees and seek legislative action for implementation. And the committee's recommendation was for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation for concurrence as amended. Do I have any objections? Any objection? Delegate in Mike 7.
Greg Morris, Branch 421. Objection.
Noted objection. Resolution held over for a second reading.
Okay, we're at resolution number 47. Resolution number 47 is going to be vehicled by resolution 50. Resolution number 48 is going to be vehicled by resolution number 50. Resolution 49 will be vehicled by resolution number 50. And actually, resolution number 51 will also be vehicled by resolution number 50. And resolution number 50 reads as follows. Resolved that NAPS headquarters researches, compiles data, and creates a strategic plan to regain COLA for EAS employees, the only postal employees without this wage protection. Calm down, calm down. The committee amended Resolution 50, and it includes the resolved from Resolution number 49 between lines, well, it's all inclusive of the single resolve for Resolution 49 from lines 93 through 99. So Resolution number 50 would now read, resolved that NAPS headquarters researches, compiles data, and creates a strategic plan to regain COLA for EAS employees, the only postal employees without this wage protection, and be it further resolved that NAPS initiates immediate action, legal or consultative, to result in the reinstatement of COLA for all EAS employees. And as you might suspect, the committee's recommendation was for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendations for concurrence as amended. Are there any objection? Are there any objection? Are there any objection? Mike, number 9.
Rick Hawley, Branch 102, Springfield, Mass. I object.
Resolution held over for second reading.
Our co-chair, Dr. Nancy Wesley, will take over from here.
Resolution 51 has been vehicled by Resolution 50. Resolution 52 has been vehicled by Resolution 46. Resolution 53 has been vehicled by Resolution 46. Resolution 54 has been vehicled by Resolution 42. Resolution 55 has been vehicled by Resolution 42. And now Resolution 56. It will serve as a vehicle for Resolution 57. And the resolve reads thusly: that NAPS initiates immediate action, legal or consultative, to result in the reinstatement of the payment of overtime for EAS employees at the rate of 150% of their hourly rate. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Seeing no one approach the mic, the committee recommendation for concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation for concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Resolution 57 has been vehicled by Resolution 56. Resolution 58. Resolve that NAPS requests the USPS provide a monthly accounting of each EAS position it fills from outside the ranks of the USPS and the specific reason it was deemed necessary. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Hearing none, the committee recommendation is for concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Resolution 59 was vehicled by Resolution 60. Thusly, Resolution 60 serves as the vehicle for 59. At line 13, the committee made a change. We deleted the number 60 and replaced it with the number 30. And so the resolution now reads at the resolved that NAPS requests USPS to issue policy directing all EAS physical transfers to be completed to new offices in no more than 30 days. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation is concurred as amended. All those, do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation as amended for concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation as amended for concurrence is approved.
Resolution 61, resolve that unless local NAPS representative agree to hold local vacant EAS postings All the EAS field positions must be posted within 30 days of a vacancy, and be it further resolved that unless local NAPS representatives agree to hold local EAS postings, all the EAS field positions must be awarded within 75 days of a vacancy if qualified applicants exist. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Do I have any objection? Seeing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Resolution 62 served as a vehicle for Resolution 63. At line 98, we deleted the words 30 days before issuing any type of. And so now the resolve reads that NAPS headquarters requests postal headquarters to set a time limit of 14 days to issue discipline. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation is concurred with as amended. Are there any objection? Are there any objection? Are there any objections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation for concurrence as amended, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation is approved. Committee recommendation as amended is approved.
Resolution 63 served as a vehicle for Resolution 62. No, I'm sorry, it was vehicle by 62. Resolution 64. Resolve, NAPS consults with the USPS headquarters and the areas to ensure no changes are made to the WTIL wait time in line program without first consulting with NAPS, and prior to any changes, a complete program evaluation be conducted and findings documented to justify a change in wait time in line transactions. The committee recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Are there any objections? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Resolution 65, the resolve that the Postal Service uses revised SWIX formulas that take into account all the new programs added since the past SWIX formula adjustment, and be it further resolved that to eliminate this problem, a relief supervisor should be added for every 5 supervisors, so all functions of the job can be completed in a manner expected by the USPS. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence. Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Hearing none, All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Resolution 66, resolved that all campaigning for NAP's executive board positions be limited to a time frame beginning with the second day of the legislative training seminar through the National Convention and National Convention years only, and be it further resolved that a 2-hour time frame be included in the LTS program in National Convention years for the purpose of announcing candidates for national office. The committee's recommendation is for non-concurrence.
The committee recommendation is for non-concurrence. Do I hear any objections? Are there any objections? Delegate at mic number 4.
My name is Tim Ford, member of the Executive Board. I object.
Resolution held over for a second reading.
Resolution 67, resolve that if no subject matter expert, someone currently employed in that field with a high level of knowledge and a past history of effective communications on the topic, is within the ranks of the NAP's executive board, that subject matter experts be used from the field. The committee's recommendation is for non-concurrence.
The committee recommendation for non-concurrence. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Mic number 5.
Steve Kabliska, Branch 244, Central California. I object.
Resolution held over for a second reading.
Resolution 68, we made some amendments. On line 37, we deleted the word street and replaced it with the word postal. At line 39, we deleted the word management and replaced it with duties. The resolve now reads that NAP's purposes to the USPS during the consultative process, that the agency provides the tools, vehicles, necessary for EAS employees to perform postal duties. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence as amended. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation as amended for concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed say nay. Committee recommendation as amended for concurrence is approved.
Resolution 69, the committee amended at line 87. We added between the words all and employees, EAS. The resolve now reads thusly: that NAP's headquarters consults with the USPS to provide clear language stating all the EAS employees' lunch schedules should be no more than 1 hour, and the committee's recommendation is for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendation is for concurrence as amended. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objections? Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence as amended, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation of concurrence as amended is approved.
Resolution 70. Resolve that once an office is required to begin Sunday delivery, it will be required that a SWIX review for the office be conducted immediately, and to be it further resolved that if staffing changes are shown to be needed by the SWIX review, additional staffing hours will be added to the office and backdated to the date of implementation. The committee's recommendation is for concurrence.
The committee recommendation for concurrence. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? The committee recommendations for concurrence. All those in favor of the committee recommendation, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it then. Committee recommendation of concurrence is approved.
Okay, before we go any further, we're going to do a little housekeeping. It was alluded to earlier that by my friend Luther Manuel that we had a resolution that did not have a number. You have one handout. That handout is resolution number 97. And in addition to that, since we're going over this, we were handed off two resolutions from the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. And they are on page 79, resolution number 16 and resolution number 17. Those are now numbered 98 and 99 accordingly. So resolution number 16 is now resolution number 98, and resolution number 17 is now resolution number 99. Everybody got that? Where'd we leave off? 70? 71. Okay. Okay, we're back on page 98, and we're dealing with resolution number 71. Number 71 reads as follows. Resolved that all EAS 12 postmaster, secretary, and administrative assistant positions be upgraded to EAS level 15. The committee, when dealing with upgrade resolutions or a resolution that would request an upgrade of an EAS position, we took no action, and we took no action because the committee felt that the resolution is not the correct venue to submit a request for a position or a level upgrade. So for resolution number 71, we took no action for that reason.
It will be noted, and that will go into our pay talk. So we're going to ask for that upgrade on any circumstance. The members want it, we're going to do it.
Okay, we're on resolution number 72. Resolved that no political campaign materials be allowed in the Postal Supervisor magazine. The committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence, and I'll give you a part of the thinking. The committee felt that the political campaign materials, in addition to the small number of advertising, provides revenue for naps, in some cases pretty sadly needed revenue, and that the cost is equally spread amongst all of the candidates. No one gets a better rate than somebody else. So we just looked at it like it was generating revenue for naps, and we recommend non-concurrence accordingly.
The committee recommendations for non-concurrence. Delegate at Mike 4.
Tim Ford, member of the Executive Board, I object.
Noted. Resolution held over for our second reading. Mike number 7.
Order. Luther Manual, Branch 548. 71. The committee has to act on it. They can't just pass it off and say, well, we decided to do nothing. Either you concur or you don't concur. These resolutions were voted on at different state conventions and sent in to be considered at the national. If you don't agree with it as a group or you think there's a problem with it, just non-concurrence. And then give the person the chance to speak on how they feel about that issue. You can't just pass off something and say, we decided not to handle it.
Thank you. We can't force a committee to take a position on an issue. The committee has several options to them. One is to recommend consideration in terms of approval. The other one is to recommend consideration for disapproval. And the third one is either they don't have an opinion or they're not recommending any particular action whatsoever. That's what they're suggesting. What they're suggesting is that the body take no action on this issue whatsoever. You, the membership, still have the opportunity to object to that and indicate that you do want to take action under a second reading.
Mike 4.
Neil Baker, Branch 104, member of the Executive Board. I agree with Luther, the parliamentarian. My only question was, I came up to the mic before, didn't want to feel out of order, but my question is, they took no action. Why isn't that the body just at that point can't take a vote what their action is? If there's no objector, why don't we just vote on it? We just don't have a recommendation from them, from the committee.
I would suggest to the chair that he reconsider action on number 71 and see if there is a member who wants to object to the no action recommendation of the committee. And that way, if somebody wants to object to that, then under second reading, the body can take whatever action they want to on number 71. That would be my recommendation. Obviously, as the parliamentarian, I don't have the authority to enforce anything. It's up to the chair to take my recommendation or not, and then it's up to the body to vote as they, or act as they please.
Mike number 3.
Joyce Schaffner, Branch 420. I object to number 71.
Mike number 7. I don't want.
No,
I'm not trying to encourage, but I just.
It's already been objected to.
It's going to be held over for a second reading. No. Mike number 2.
Hello. My name is Lanita Pitts of the Elizabeth R. Flamone branch in the city of Chicago. I rise for a point of personal privilege. My concern with the new parliamentarian as far as what had been discussed on resolution number 71. If this is going to be something new, if they decide to take no action, then that's something that should be actually placed inside of our Constitution and bylaws. Or at least, if that's going to be a new choice, it should be in the book as such. I mean, they did object to it. I'm not so much concerned about the actual resolution itself as I am with the committee's action on this particular item. Now, again, no action, as was addressed by Neil and Luther, is something that I know, I've never seen before, has taken place before. And if we should start a new precedent, there should be something in the language of our Constitution and bylaws to redress this.
The parliamentarian can correct me, but that's nothing new. It's in Robert's Rules of Order that he was using. The committee has a right not to take any action. We as a body may have been the first time to hear that. But now we've heard it, and we can still object to the resolution and go through a second reading, which I'm going to do right now. We'll bring it back up at the second reading.
Thank you.
And the body can vote on it then. Yeah. The parliamentarian is going to help clarify, Lenita.
I think one of the problems is the word objection, because it's just a vague and somewhat ambiguous term. When you say you object, you're objecting to whatever the recommendation of the committee is. And so if the committee recommends that you pass it and you object, you're suggesting that you want it not to be passed. But the other word for objection is that you're objecting that the committee has suggested that you take no action on this particular issue. And so if you object to that recommendation, then you're suggesting that you do want to take some action, and your protocol and your precedent is that you wait until the second reading to take that action. So when I'm suggesting that the committee has the right to say they're not making any recommendation whatsoever, then that gives you the right either to act on it or not act on it. If you want to act, you say object, because that's the word that you folks use.
Four is first. Who's? Mike number 5.
Jim Hedry, Branch 249, Reno, Nevada. I've been coming down to national conventions for the last 30 years, and sometime approximately 16 years ago, we at the National Convention voted not to accept upgrades of positions. We used to get over 100 upgrade resolutions. Every single supervisor, maintenance, customer service, everything else wanted an upgrade. We eliminated that, and that's what gave us the Wednesday day off. The resolution should never have been submitted by the branch, and apparently we have an awful lot of new members here that were not part of that, and I think this resolution should not be considered.
You're correct. That's the history of it. Mike number 4.
Jeff Foley, Branch, President 36. I think the parliamentarian said that you, as the chair, had to bring 71 back up on the floor. You never brought it back up on the floor, and it was objected.
The parliamentarian noted that I did entertain the objection from Mike number 6 earlier. So it has been objected to. Jeff. Mike number 6 now.
Ron Cole, Branch 183, Charlotte, North Carolina. I think the problem here is in what everybody's saying, and no disrespect to the parliamentarian, but us people out here in the audience are trying to understand, if we're trying to keep accurate records of what we have going on, there is no action in the book. And we're trying to record this information. So if they're going to take no action, then we need to be able to indicate that in our books. It's not about writing it down. I understand what you're saying, but the people that are standing up said that that's not an option that they have. So
If we're going to do it the correct way, let's do it the correct way.
Hey, Ron, we'll take that in consideration and have it. Any other?
Okay. Before I read the next resolution, I just want to make it clear to you that the committee in no way objects to an increase in level or pay for any EAS employee. So that is not part of what the deliberation was, just so you know. I think we're on resolution number 73. Resolution 73. Resolved that NAPS enters into consultations with the USPS to develop supervisor staffing workload evaluation process for mail processing facilities, and be it further resolved that this supervisor staffing workload evaluation process encompasses all duties and responsibilities of SDO positions. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendations for concurrence. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objections? Do I hear any objection? All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Committee recommendation for concurrence is adopted.
Resolution 74. Resolved that all EAS 17 supervisor support services positions be upgraded to EAS level 18. Once again, the committee took no action for the same reason. We felt that it was the incorrect venue to submit for upgrades.
Delegate Mike 3.
Bobby Bach, Branch President 321. I object.
Held over for our second reading.
Resolution 75. Resolved that all EAS 16 process control assistant positions be upgraded to EAS level 17. Once again, the committee took no action. We felt it was the incorrect venue for upgrades.
Committee recommendations for no action. Delegate Mike 3.
Bobby Bach, Branch President 321. I object.
Held over for our second reading.
Okay. Resolution number 76. Sorry about that. I need a rubber thumb. The resolved currently reads, resolved that the USPS and NAPS consult on a staffing proposal that will provide guidelines for increased craft and EAS staffing rotations to ensure weekend delivery coverage for the Sunday parcel delivery pilot program, and be it further resolved that such staffing discussions include NAPIS and the League of Postmasters, as larger post offices may be included in these expanded delivery programs, and be it finally resolved that NAPS not only consults on a permanent staffing solution with the USPS, but also includes a proposal to post relief supervisor positions to rotate into 7-day delivery units to ensure that line supervisors receive their scheduled days off. The committee amended this resolution, and they amended it simply by striking the second resolved, that is to delete everything from line 25 through 33. It now reads, resolved that the USPS and NAPS consult on a staffing proposal that will provide, on line 17, we struck the words craft and on line 17. It now reads, resolve that the USPS and NAPS consult on a staffing proposal that will provide guidelines for increased EAS staffing rotations to ensure weekend delivery coverage for the Sunday Parcel Delivery pilot program, and be it further resolved that NAPS not only consults on a permanent staffing solution with the U.S. Postal or USPS, but also includes a proposal to post relief supervisor positions to rotate into 7-day delivery units to ensure that line supervisors receive their scheduled days off. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence as amended.
The committee recommendations is for concurrence as amended. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any? Mic number 6.
Ron Cole, Branch 183, I object.
Resolution held over for a second reading.
Okay, resolution number 77. Resolved that when bidding on jobs in e-career, selecting officials only be able to view pertinent information and not the history of jobs bid on or withdrawn. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
Committee recommendations for concurrence. Do I hear any objections? Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? All those in favor of the committee recommendation of concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Committee recommendation is affirmed, concurred with. Mike number 7.
Point of order. Luther Manuel, Branch 548. I'm still stuck on that 71 situation. Listen. You're going, you don't even understand. Listen. To say that they took no action, why couldn't they just say, objected to? We objected to it, like we have to say. All they had to say is we objected. Now, they had a second option. If they knew they were not going to take any action on those resolutions, why wasn't the branch notified and told when they got here, we have your resolution. We can't accept it the way it's written. If you have time, if you want to change it or put it in a different form, maybe we can consider it. To wait till today at the reading and say we did nothing about it is unsettling. That should not have happened. If they got to today, or if they got to where they printed the book, they should have just objected to it. The committee's recommendation was for non-concurrence. That's what I feel should have happened.
Thank you, Luca, for your opinion. We just hold another viewpoint. Okay.
78? Yeah. Okay. All right, we're on resolution number 78. Resolved that EAS employees be offered skill set broadening details to such positions as stated above prior to them being offered to the craft, and be it further resolved that NAPS headquarters writes a formal position paper regarding details. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendations for concurrence. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Do I hear anyone want to go back to 71? Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, All those in favor of the committee recommendation for concurrence, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Committee recommendation for concurrence is approved.
Resolution number 79. Resolved that review committees for all EAS 18 and above positions be established in a postal area other than that of the posted position, and be it further resolved that applications for all EAS 18 and above positions be submitted to the review committee without names, but with identifying numbers known only to shared services, and be it finally resolved that postal areas be required to establish these review committees for this specific purpose. The committee's recommendation was for concurrence.
The committee recommendation for concurrence. Do I hear any objection? Do I hear any objection? Mic number 7.
Sharon Macklin, Branch 30 in Maryland. I object.
Resolution held over for a second reading.
Okay, resolution number 80. Resolved that a separate and independent ethics committee be created to review and investigate all code of conduct allegations and other ethical allegations made towards any NAPS executive board members, and be it further resolved that a penalty table similar to those used by other organizations be created and posted along with ethical guidelines and the NAPS website, and be it finally resolved that there be an appeals process for all parties involved. The committee talked about this resolution for about 20 minutes. And the committee could not concur with resolution number 80. And part of the reason that they did not is that the committee felt that this resolution would duplicate an already existing system.
The committee recommendation is non-concurrence. Mike 5.
Good
Mike
afternoon.
5.
Sean McClanahan, Branch 244, Central California. I object.
Resolution held over a second reading. At this time, Brian's going to have some announcements, and we have a few other little things to do so we can have lunch at 12 o'clock. So, John Cavello in. Hey, John, could come on up. Dillard's Financial is going to draw for a scholarship. I think it's $2,000. Our members will be given.
Is it going on right after lunch?
Yeah.
Because we have to meet with objectors too.
Yeah.
But are we going to continue right after lunch?
How do you want to do it?
We got a lot of objectors. I wouldn't. But you know what? I'd have to meet with them during lunch. Is that cool?
He's back tomorrow.
Didn't we get rid of you once?
Then we miss, if we meet with them after lunch, we miss the Postmaster agenda.
What do you want us to do with objectors? I mean, if we're going to do what time is he going to be the first order of business? Then we need to go right now. They're going to hate us for it.
Well, some of them said they can't because they're attending the Western Region Lunch. You heard me say yesterday, bring lunch.
You want to do maybe like a 3:30 or 5 or something?
So we're not going to go on until after that.
Well, you can finish these going through it after the Postmaster John did meet.
We can do that. That's fine. That's fine.
John?
We're done for now.
Yeah.
Let me get my stuff.
At this time, I'd like to turn over the mic to John Caveller, Manager of Labor Relationship Policy Administration at Headquarters.
Thanks. Hey, thanks, guys. This will be my last convention, and I have a few basic thoughts I asked Louis whether I could share with you. After a couple of decades of supervising, managing, and leading the consultation process and the pay talk process at the national level, I've seen a lot of things, and as many of you have too. If you shake a tree, a few hundred new step-by-step management and leadership programs, each costing thousands of dollars, and each saying the same things will fall out. And the difference between bossing and leading is not complicated or hard to understand. The hard part is whether one is able to lead. You guys all know that any loudmouth can boss and intimidate about the numbers, but a leader influences others to decide that they want to and will do the best they can all the time, and that they'll help each other do the same. That's what leadership is. And if you have that fundamental in your heart and in your mind, then you will lead. If you don't, there is no method, program, book, or follow my brilliant cookbook step-by-step process series of seminars that will make you a leader. Supervisors have to lead, not boss, the employees they're trusted to direct, even when the supervisors are being bossed and not led. And that's not fair. That's not right. But it's what makes supervisors stronger and special, and it's the real difference in character that separates the leaders from the followers. Working with your resident officers and executive board over the last 5 years, I've learned a lot about the importance of NAPS. And I've been most impressed with, and I won't forget about, the loyalty and dedicated commitment of supervisors who work with all they have every day to support getting the job done as well as possible, even when it seems that that loyalty is just a one-way street. I hope NAPS remains focused on holding the postal services to keep promises, and this is going to get me in trouble, you've been given over the years about administering discipline properly, about using scheduling authority without violating or abusing it, and about following our own pay rules without you guys having to fight to get that done, and other basics. Don't let other people's failures, 30 more seconds and you get to eat. Don't let other people's failures, screw-ups, and mistakes and outside problems discourage you from doing the best you can about things that are within your power to make better. And lastly, here's what I hope. I hope you guys always choose to lead and not to boss. And I hope that you find at some point soon that the Postal Service does the same for all supervisors. Semper Fi.
We wish John the best. Right now we have the pulling of the scholarships.
Good morning. Hi, I'm Steve Dillard with Dillard Financial Solutions, and we're very honored to be here today to provide a scholarship on behalf of the national president, Mr. Louis Atkins. This scholarship is for every member of NAPS for their children. It's a $2,000 scholarship, and I'm very honored to be able to present it at this time. But I do want to share with you, this is our 8th year at the 4 conventions, 8 years with NAPS. And we've enjoyed the opportunity to work with you. Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor, would you bring me the winner?
Open up the envelopes. The recipient of the 2014 NAPS Presidential Scholarship, and they would have a word I can't even pronounce. Huh? No. Santora Wayne Pickens, sponsored by Mary Pickens of Branch 35 in Burlington, New Jersey. Branch 35. $2,000 scholarship.
Thank you.
Okay.
We get it
Thank
through.
you for
Yes,
your
sir.
help. Bryant, you're up. And we'll be dismissed to go to lunch.
All right, just a few announcements. If you have not turned in your banquet ticket, your exchange coupon ticket to your branch president, you must do so now. Otherwise, you won't be able to eat. So otherwise, we don't know. We need to make sure you turn in your banquet ticket to your president right now. And without your grand banquet ticket, you cannot be served on Friday. This is your last chance. We have to do the seating. Now for a reminder of the area photos for today that are going to take place right after we break for lunch, the noon recess, in the Golden West Room, Southeast, Central Gulf, Cotton Belt, and Texas will meet immediately after this for their pictures taken. Southeast, Central Gulf, Cotton Belt, and Texas. I've got some other announcements. Detroit Branch 23. I said, am I supposed to announce this? They're having a party. All right, the Detroit party. I have not been to it. It's very nice. It's tonight, Tuesday night at Tina's Nightclub. Write this address down. 1956, 54th Street. Starts at 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Hey, there's free shuttle provided. Pick up every 30 minutes, beginning at 9 a.m. at hotel registration entrance. I'll give you the address again, don't get crazy. The last shuttle returning to the hotel at 1:30 a.m. Now, it's 1956 54th Street. Is that in Detroit? No, I'm teasing. I'm assuming San Diego. All right. If you want specific instructions, directions, I have them. Why don't you come up here? It'd be easier. All right? Now, the Western Region Delegate Luncheon is right after we break, noon to 1 in the San Diego room. San Diego room. Make sure you bring your pink ticket. SPAC Walkathon will be held tomorrow morning. You meet at the Tiki Pavilion near the Terrace Cafe. They said tomorrow morning. What is today? Okay, when do you want to go? Thursday. Remember, back at 1:30. Okay. I just read what they give me. Okay, how about Thursday? SPAC Walkathon, Thursday. Meet at the Tiki Pavilion near Terrace Cafe at 6:45 a.m. And the way I've been hearing you guys party, you're walking in at 6:45 a.m. There, we have a SPAC table at the back of the hall. SPAC has electronics and jewelry to raffle off, which will include an iPad, a Microsoft Surface, Kindle products, plus jewelry. Come back and see them. Branch 1 Pioneer, we have a birthday. Ricky Jeffries has a birthday, Louisville, Kentucky. Happy birthday. There was concern about the tours I mentioned and something about weather. I've called the tour company. There's no weather issues. They're expecting all tours are on schedule. Now, they will not be selling tickets tomorrow. If you want tickets, you need to call today, and I have a number. They have limited seating. So order today. There's no purchasing on site. There is limited seating. And if you need wheelchair assistance or whatever, you need to make sure you call them and let them know so they bring the right vehicle for you. So I can give the number out. I'll read it slow. 619-660-5340. And it should be in the newsletter. Thank you. Okay. 619-660-5340. Thank you. Okay, we have a SSA associate in the registration room. They will be taking articles on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. They will be open 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., pay by cash, check, and credit card. Priority only. So you're mailing stuff back. We'll be making that announcement again. Okay. The NAPS Auxiliary. We must support our auxiliary. Let's please do that. The NAPS Auxiliary cordially invites you to the auxiliary luncheon on Friday at noon in the Atlas Ballroom. Tickets are $35 and can be purchased in the California room where the auxiliary meets daily. Please join your NAPS partner for a great lunch on Friday. And you want me to do caucuses right now? Okay, caucus reminder. Eastern Region, Pacific Salon 1, starting at 5 p.m. or immediately following the session. New England area, Pacific Salon 3, starting at 5 p.m. or immediately following the session. The Cotton Belt will meet at 5 p.m. in the Dover room. Dover, D-O-V-E-R. Look at the map. It's one of the side buildings. In Wisconsin, we'll meet in the Meeting House building in the Esquire room. And the Rocky Mountain area will meet in the Meeting House in the Town room at 5 p.m. for the Rocky Mountain, 5:30 for Wisconsin. That's all I have, Louis.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, and we'll be back and start our business session at 1:30 sharp. 1:30. Everybody listen up. It's going to be 1:30. Mic number 2 and mic number 9. Mic 2. Mic number 9.
Yeah, Mr. President, Rick Hawley, Branch 102, Springfield. I did want to have a reconsideration of a resolution that was passed that I did agree, but I see some verbiage I'd like to get updated, so I'd like to relook at that Resolution 77.
We'll bring it right back after the Postmasters speak at 1:30 then.
Thank you.
Okay. Mic number 2, person left. Well,
Mike Bovair, Branch 159. What room is the resolution committee going to be meeting in?
I have no idea. We need to find out exactly. They're going to be meeting right after the Postmaster speaks, so I'll make sure we get that room for you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. 1:30 when we come back. He's first thing on. Then we finish the resolution, then we'll meet with the objectives and come back to the second meeting. Hey, thank you so much. You've been, lifesaver. They were 8 million off the life. You want to come meet the Postmaster Joe? You can come and have lunch with us.